AMD. They used to call it the advanced money destroyer. Now, AMD is coining new millionaires by the day, and it's just getting started as we continue to hit new all-time highs. Let's go ahead and dive into their most recent earnings and see how the numbers are looking. AMD beat on the top and the bottom line. Not huge beats, but nonetheless, they were double beats. EPS was up 43% year over year, revenue up 38% year over year. Now let's go ahead and see how AMD stock is reacting after hours. So we can see AMD stock is up almost 5% after hours. We are hitting all-time highs after these earnings are coming out. Going into these earnings, we saw that revenue expectations and EPS were both beat. Two other key areas to look at is data center revenue. For data center, we were expecting to see a little over 51% year over year growth. And for gross margin, we were looking for around 55% for non-GAAP gross margin. Let's dive in and see if they were able to beat these. So diving into their earnings deck, we can see that non-GAAP gross margins came in at 55%, in line with expectations. Hopping over to data center, we can see that revenue accelerated to up 57%, beating expectations by over 5%. If we dive into their earnings report, just to call out a couple things that caught my attention, customer engagement around MI450 series and Helios is strengthening, with leading customer forecasts exceeding our initial expectations and a growing pipeline of large-scale deployments, providing us with increasing visibility into our growth trajectory. So after reading this sentence, what I'm seeing is the demand that they expected for MI450 coming out later this year is already exceeding what they thought it was going to be. So this is good news for the future revenue and profitability, especially in the data center segment. Scrolling back through the earnings, if we're looking at the non-GAAP measures, we can see revenue is up 38%, which is key because last year during the investor analyst day, they projected that the CAGR for revenue over the next 3 to 5 years would be greater than 35%. So it's great to see that we're already exceeding that. For net income, we're seeing that measures are up 45%. For anyone who missed this big announcement, there was a partnership between Meta and AMD where it was announced plans to deploy up to 6 gigawatts of AMD Instinct GPUs, with the first being powered by a custom AMD Instinct MI450 for Meta. So this partnership will help to drive a huge amount of future GPU orders for the data center segment for AMD. Looking ahead to guidance, for the second quarter of 2026, AMD expects revenue to be approximately 11.2 billion plus or minus 300 million, with the midpoint of the revenue range represents year-over-year growth of approximately 46% and a sequential increase of approximately 9%. So as we just talked about, their long-term projection is greater than 35% revenue growth, which they hit 38% this year, and it looks like they're projecting that growth to continue to accelerate next quarter all the way up to 46%. This is very indicative that demand is growing for AMD. All right, let's go ahead and hop over to a couple of charts. So data center revenue over the past few quarters, going back to Q2 of 2025, we can see the percent change year over year has steadily reaccelerated into the current quarter. Growth has accelerated to over 57%. And the key call out is this is all before the MI450 series has been released. And the MI450 series is the first series for their data center chips that has been highly anticipated to competitively start competing with NVIDIA. So we should see this continue to increase for the data center revenue growth as we get into the back half of this year and into even next year. Looking at revenue and net income going back to Q2 of 2025, we can see that revenue year over year increases has steadily increased from 31% up to almost 38% this quarter. If we look into the back half of 2026, we can see that analysts are projecting that revenue will hit almost 50% year over year increase. And if we look at net income is consistently growing at almost triple digits every quarter, with this quarter being slightly under 100%, but the remainder of the quarters for 2026 all projecting to be above 100%. Now, as we go into the future, one key call out is to look back at one of the key slides from the Investor Day in 2025. Right here at the top, we see that their projection for the next 3 to 5 years is to have revenue growth at a CAGR of greater than 35%. We're already seeing that currently, and over the next 3 to 5 years, EPS to be greater than $20. If we take these two into account and we run our own projections, what we can see in a base case scenario, if we just look at 35% growth over that time frame. So this happened in Investor Day 2025. So 3 years would put us out to 2028, 5 years being 2030. Then if we go ahead and look at net income growth, currently we see that it is hidden triple digits, but even if we pull it back to a very conservative 45% over this time frame, that way we hit about that $20 EPS 4 years later with PE ratios at a 25 to 35, which these probably could be a little bit higher even. Even in this range, we have a 2030 price target of between 750 to over $1,000, which would give us a CAGR of 21% to 31% over that time frame, far exceeding the performance of the S&P 500 historically. So that's all I wanted to share for this. I just want to get AMD earnings out there quick and show what future projections and price targets that this stock could accomplish. Let me know what you think of AMD earnings. Let me know what you thought about my projections and how yours might differ from mine. If you like this video, smash that like button down below. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos that I put out. And let me know down in the comments, what stock are you looking forward to listening to that's still left to go in this earnings season? Until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.